Hello everyone. Welcome to the part 2 of our lecture series, the lecture number 1, which we are going to present on the selecting the suitable journals and submission to the Scopus and UGC journals. So whatever we have learned in our last lecture, we have learned various kinds of journal publications. Like we learned that what is journal paper, how is it different from conference paper, how is it different from book chapters. Then we have learned that why the journal publications is more beneficial than the conference paper, and why we should go for the journal publication rather than conference paper or uh, book chapters. We have also understand the core differences between the journal papers, conference paper, and the book chapters. Besides that, we have also talked about the different kinds of journals, peer review process, and the different kinds of submissions. So welcome back to the part 2 of our faculty development program on academic research writing. So this lecture will continue from the lecture that we have done in the part 1. So if you have not seen the part 1 yet, please watch the part 1 and then come back to part 2. So before wasting another time, so I just want to start the part 2 of our lecture on selecting suitable journals and paper submission to the UGC CARE list and Scopus journals. So the first question which arises is how to select a suitable journal. So I told you in the last lecture that this is a very important and very serious problem, because whenever it comes to our mind, okay, we are ready with our paper, we have written the paper with all the necessary sections like abstract, introduction, related work, methodology, results, discussion, conclusion, everything. But we don't know that which journal should we approach, which journal is suitable for us. For example, if you search for the computer science journal, you will get like hundreds and hundreds and thousands of computer science journals, but you don't know which journals is exactly suitable for your paper. This is a very tricky thing, because most of the cases, what researchers face, researchers actually got into trouble, like when they wanted to send the paper to a journal. So what happened when a researcher or a scholar want to send a paper to a journal, in most times, so it comes like the out of scope of the journal. So when you submit a journal, maybe in a week or two time, the editor returns back the journal paper from the journal, and they mention that it is out of scope. So what is scope? Scope means the relevance of the journal to your paper. So that means you have to choose that the journal should be within your scope of the work. Now, for example, you have worked something on the computer networks related to the wireless sensor networks, related to the IP, TCP/IP, and the HTML, and all these HTTP protocols, all these things. So now you have written the entire paper, and I believe that you have written a very good quality research article. Now you're confused at where you should send. So first thing, you have to select a suitable journal. So this suitable journal is a tricky thing. So whenever we are trying to find the suitable journal, we have to see our abstract and our keywords. So these two things are very important. So if the keywords used in our research uh, uh, are like the WSN wireless sensor networks, or the computer networks, or the IP, TCP, and such kind of things, then what we do, we try to find a journal which publish papers based on the WSN, IP, TCP, and all these things. If we send our paper to a machine learning journal, if we send our paper to the computer vision journal, if you send our paper to a image processing journal, so what will happen? They will say that yes, it is a computer science journal. Maybe your work is good, but we are not capable of deciding your work, because all our editors, all our reviewers are not expert in your field. So they are only expert in the computer vision or machine learning or image processing. So you should focus on your own keywords, which is preferred. So before you can go and select a suitable journals, what we have to keep in mind, that you have to find the research relevance. So what is research relevance? Research relevance is a thing where you can evaluate the fit between the journal topic and the research topic. That means if the journal topic is within the scope of the journal, then you can submit the paper. So every journal website uh, has their particular kind of page called aim and scope. So when you open the aim and scope tag or aim and scope page of your journal uh, homepage, then what you find, you will find all the scopes or all the subjects, all the topics that you can send the paper to. And your research topic, that is a core research topic. For example, if you have used one machine learning word in your entire paper, and your paper never talks about machine learning or never works on machine learning, and you want to send to the machine learning journal, then they will just throw your paper and say it is out of scope or it's irrelevant. So relevance is important. So your core keywords or your core idea of the paper should match the scope of the journal, and it should focus from your methodology part also, not from the words that you have used in discussion, the words that you have used in related work, or words that have you have used in introduction. The keywords should from your methodology part. That means you have worked on that keyword, you have worked on that particular technology. So consider the journal that publish articles in a specified field or the subdiscipline. So whenever you are reading different papers, whenever you are reading papers from a particular journal or papers from any journal, try to understand that why this journal has published that paper. Once you understand that why this paper one has been published in the journal X, you can easily understand that how they are related. So this relevance is very important. The next point you should take care is the target audience. So what is specifically the target audience? Target audience, that means your readers. So your paper is your product, right? And you have to sell your product through a shopping mall, and the shopping mall is the publishing house, and the uh, the end product is your published paper, and the readers are your customers. So what you do, you have to get a good feedback on your paper. And what are these feedbacks? These feedbacks are the citations. So when you publish a paper that is the end product, that is a published paper, your readers should understand it well, your readers should like it well, and your readers should comprehend it and use it in their own research. Then they will cite you, and this citation is actually the feedback on your paper. So you have to understand the target audience. You have to identify the primary readership of the journal, and you ensure that it aligns with the intended audience for the research. Publishing in a particular journal that reach the target audience increase the visibility and impact of the journal. For example, if I'm writing a paper on history, and I'm trying to publish in a journal in computer science, then who will read the computer science journals? Actually, the computer science people, the computer science students, the researchers, professors. I mean, are they interested in understanding the history? No, right? So we have to select the target audience, like which journal is not only publish our paper, not only the scope of the journal, but the readers of the journal. If the readers of a journal is suitable to us, if the readers of a journal, the primary readership, the audience or the readers is of my understanding, that means they can understand my work, then choose that journal. The third thing that you have to take care of, that journal reputation and impact. So what you do, you access the journal's reputation in the academic community, such as its impact factor, citation metrics, and ranking. How you do that? There are several ways that you can do that. For example, if you want to search a journal, which is a Scopus index, you want to know its impact factor, citation metrics, rankings, and all these things. So there is a website called SciMago, SCIMAGO. So I'll let you know about this in my next slides. So in this SciMago website, whenever you search for that particular journal, which is a Scopus index journal, the SciMago will show you the entire history of the journal since its inclusion in the Scopus to date. So what it will show? It will show your SGR value, it shows the SNIP value, it shows the site score, it shows is quartile, that is a ranking that, and ranking also matters a lot in different perspective. For example, if the journal is a multidisciplinary journal, then it's a very big problem that in which particular kind of ranking categories it falls. So that's why it's very preferable to publish a paper in a particular core journals. For example, if you want to publish a paper in a neuroscience journal, so and please see that if that neuroscience journal actually falls under the neuroscience ranking or not. Sometimes what happens, the title of the journal is a particular core journal, but it publishes different kinds of papers, although relevant, but still different kinds of papers. Then what will happen? Then Scopus automatically rank that particular journal in different other categories, and thereby it loses the ranking and it falls under the end category in terms of the quartile range. So there are kind of four kinds of quartile: quartile 1, Q1, quartile 2, Q2, quartile 3, Q3, and quartile 4, Q4. So these four different quartile categories or Q categories are measured by the SIMAGO, and it actually shows in the ranking. For example, if your journal is within the top 25% of the particular domain, that means if you want to publish a paper in neuroscience, and if the journal, for example, the European Journal of Neuroscience, falls under the top 5% or 6%, that is within the first 25%. So if your journal falls under the first 25% of the particular domain, then that means it is a quartile 1 journal. So journal's reputation is important, journal's impact is important. So impact actually shows that how many times the people are reading papers from that journal, how many times people are citing that particular journal, how many times the people are more interested in reading papers from that particular journal. So these all are the impact of the journal, and it affect in the reputation of the journal. So you have to look for the journal well indexed in the Scopus, Web of Science, UGC CARE list. The fourth thing that come into the mind is the ethical publishing practice. So what is ethical publishing practice? These days, there are thousands of journals which are called predatory journals. So what are these predatory journals? The predatory journals are the journals which publish on a pay basis. I'm not talking about the APC. APC is a different thing. That is the article processing charge that being charged by different big journals also on the basis of the open access fee. That means if you publish the journal, if you publish a paper in that journal, the paper will be accessible to everyone and forever. So you have to pay for that, and they will publish it in a free way, and anyone can read it and cite it. But I'm talking about the predatory journals. So predatory journals are the journals which take money in case of publishing, not about the open access fee. So these ethical publishing policies are very important to take care. So you have to take care the journal editorial process. So whenever you are visiting any journal web page, you have to be take care that who is the editor. So and who are the people in the editorial board. If you see that the editor is not from a good university or good institution or a good country, or the editorial board members are just random people, they have no existence in the internet or in academia, then that journal is actually a notorious journal. That means a predatory journal. So predatory journals, just avoid. So, and what are the other editorial policies that you have to take care? The other editorial policy is that that journal should have an editor-in-chief, that journal should have a handling editor, that journal should have a list of editorial board members, and that journal should have a strong editorial office who will take care of your all submission to the processing and publication thing. So after that, you have to take care of the peer review process. That journal should have a strong peer review process, and all these things should adhere to the strong ethical publishing standard. So another ethical publishing standard that you have to take care of that particular the plagiarism percentage of that particular journal. So if you visit any particular journal website, you can easily see that how much similarity or percentage of plagiarism they are allowing. If they are allowing like more than 20%, 30%, 30%, 35%, just avoid that journal. Do not go for journals which allows the similarity over 20%. That means those are predatory journals and those are not listed in UGC Web of Science and all these things. So all the most of the good journals, reputed journals allow only the similarity less than 10%. So only go for that. Just a minute. Hmm. Okay, so now comes to the different website to select the journals. So what are the different website that actually helps to select the journal? So finding journal is a critical way that we can disseminate your research into the journal. So there are various ways you can find the suitability of a journal, you can find the relevancy of your paper, and you can find the scope of that particular journal. The first site that you can search is the Scopus. So we have talked about in the last lecture that there are different kinds of citations, different kinds of kind of metrics that we can find about SciMago and also in the Scopus. But Scopus is also a archiving or indexing website. It's not only indexing, it's also a kind of search engine to find the papers which are Scopus indexed. So you can access the Scopus database to search for journals by their subject, keywords, or specific criteria. So the next uh, website to check your journal is the UGC CARE List. So UGC CARE List is another kind of archiving website or indexing website, which is recognized by the Indian government, specifically the UGC, and it archived all the journals of SCI, all the journals of Scopus, and a few Indian journals which are not yet being indexed by Scopus or SCI. So if you find some journals in the UGC CARE list, it is still a modest way to go for the journal. If the journal is not even in the UGC CARE list, then I would suggest that do not go for that particular journal. So the first thing you have to take care is the Scopus. The second thing is the UGC CARE list. The third most uh, thing that you have to take care, although is the biggest and the most difficult indexing process, is the Web of Science indexing. So in the Web of Science indexing, you have to explore the papers which are published in a very good journals, which are published in a decent journals. So the journals which pass the quality standards of a very decent publication house, which have passed strong peer review process, which have a very rigorous editorial activities, which have in no kinds of predatory activities, those journals are only listed in Web of Science. And if a journal just open their office, they cannot be indexed in Web of Science in a one day. It takes at least 5 to 6 years to get indexed in the Web of Science. So at first, what happened? At first, it indexed in DOAG or other types of indexing, Google Scholar, DBLP. Then gradually it get indexed in the Scopus, and gradually, even if it stays in the Scopus for 3 to 5 years with a good reputation, with a decency, then it will be indexed in the Web of Science. So if you find any paper which are being indexed in the scope of science, that means the paper is from a very decent journals. And all the journals, I can assure you, that you will find in the Web of Science are very decent. So you have to be very careful from where you want to search from. It should be Web of Science, then you have to write a very good paper to get published in the Web of Science Index Journal. If you write a moderate paper, but with a good results and analysis, you have to go to the Scopus Index Journal. If you have a less modest paper, but with a good analysis, then you will go to the UGC CARE List journals. So this three CARE list, different journal indexing website, you can search your paper, you can search for journal, or you can also search for their indexing. The next indexing process is called the DOAJ, that is the Directory of Open Access Journal. So I just told you before that in some journals, even the big journals like Science, Nature, IEEE, they charge you some money, and that's not the predatory money. They charge you a APC. What is APC? APC is called the article processing charges. So article processing charges is a charge which you have to give after acceptance of your paper to get your paper published in an open access or gold open access mode. So when you publish your paper in an open access or gold open access mode, your paper will be accessible to each and everyone in the world, even they have the access to that journal or not. They can read your paper anywhere, anytime, any number of times as well. So they don't need to pay. The readers do not need to pay for reading. You are paying for that particular open access paper. So directory of open access journals actually list all the journals who have the abilities, who have the ability to publish the open access papers. So if a journal is an open access journal, or it is under the hybrid mode of the open access, then it will be indexed in the directory of open access journals. The next website that you have to select to search for paper is the cables. Cables actually provides insight into the journal metrics and scholarly articles which have passed the predatory reports. So I just told you that predatory is a process. This time the different academics activities are going on, which actually takes money, which actually acquire money from the different authors in names of publication. So they are not good journals. So if you search for your journal name in the cables, and if you see its predatory reports, and if it passes the predatory report, that means that journal is not predatory. So if the journal you find in predatory, then don't go for that journals. So Cable is a particular website where it provides a strong insight into the journal's metrics, and it checks the predatory reports. It checks all kinds of uh, checklist to check that it has passed the predatory reports. So it's a kind of predatory reports database where it checks all the websites of any kind of journal or any kind of publishing house to make sure that that particular journal is safe to publish. The next website to select the journal articles is the Journal Guide. So Journal Guide is a very free online tool, and it's a very nice online tool where you can find the suitable journal based on your keywords and your abstract or your title. So I just told you that you have to be careful that which keywords you are taking from your paper. It should not be from introduction or any kinds of related work. It should comes from your methodology part. That means you have worked in that particular technology. So when, and this is sometimes difficult for the young researcher, for the first time author who have not published yet. It's a very difficult to understand that which keyword should I take from, should I take. So Journal Guide is a website where you don't need to put the keywords, but you can put the title of your paper, and you can put the abstract of your paper and search for it. So the Journal Guide website will automatically show you the journals from all over the world in different publishing house, which actually close to your paper. So this Journal Guide is a very important thing where you can find, not only you can search the suitable journal for your paper, but also you can search the papers which actually from a decent journal. So whenever you search for a journal in the Journal Guide, whenever you search for a journal uh, based on your title and keywords, it will show you a list of different journals, and those journals are actually decent journals. So if you click any particular kind of journal, you can see the all the impact factors, you can see the indexing process, you can see the home page, you can see if there is any article processing charge involved, is it open access or a subscription based. You can see all the details about the journal in that particular journal guide. The next one is a Scimago journal and current country rank. So I told you already about the Scimago. Scimago is a website where you can find the SGR report, SNIP score, site score, and quartile rank of a particular journal. So quartile rank can be based on the country, based on your domain, based on your subjects, and based on the particular area of research. So Scimago will give a complete understanding of the paper, and it will show you visually the graphs and charts that how the journal is processing in last 5 years, it has been improving or degrading. So you can see everything. You can see the H index, SGR value, and all these things. So you can decide that the journal is really good or bad. The next website that you have to take care is the Think, Check, and Submit. So this website helps researchers to identify the trusted journals and avoid predatory publishers. So when you avoid predatory publisher, that means we want to check the publisher which takes money instead of APC, which takes money in a wrong way publishing process, then you can find it well. So it's a kind of website which is equivalent to cable. So you can search for a journal, you can check that it is predatory or not, and you can avoid publishing in the bad journals. So it gives a good awareness from the predatory publishing practice, and it promotes the responsible publishing decision. And the next one is a researcher tool from the Elsevier. The researcher tool offers a tool and resources for the researcher, including a journal finder tool. So the journal finder tool, you can get the different kinds of journals which are indexed in Elsevier, because they are the Elsevier journals. That means Elsevier is a publisher which publishes thousands of journals in different subject categories, and you can find the uh, different metrics and different reputation and different prospect of every journal, their aims, scopes within the Elsevier researcher tool. It allows researcher to search for journal based on keywords, topic, and specific article titles. So this is basically the websites that you can search on. So the first screen we can see is the Scopus. So when you search for the scopus.com, so you can see this website. You can come to the source search. So when you come to the source search, you can choose either title or date or ISBN or anything, and you can enter the title of your journal you are looking for. And if you click on the find sources, you can see the particular journal. When you click the journal, it will open the entire details page. So by the way, if I am not searching any journal, it will show the journal which is the most highest rated journal today. So as we can see, this cancer journal is the highest rating journal, which have a site score of these, highest percentage of these. That is the first journal in oncology till date, that is a cancer research. It has this number of citation in just 2 years, and these different types of how many number of papers being published, and how many percentage of citations it gathers. So you can see, and if you click on this, you can see more details. So this is the preview version of the Scopus that you can open. If you have the access of Scopus from your university website, you can see the full Scopus website. The next is the Web of Science. So Web of Science shows us generally different kinds of categories like the Science Citation Index, Social Science Citation Index, Engineering Citation Index, Arts and Humanities Science Citation Index, and different kinds of indexing process. So and also Emerging Source Citation Index. So Emerging Source Citation Index are the journals which have just indexed in the Web of Science, but not yet fully passed the category of SCI or SSCI. So emerging source citation journals are still very safe to publish, because it is more often it gets passed from the screening criteria, and in a year or two, it will get its impact factor in terms of the SCI indexing or SSCI indexing. The next is the UGC consortium, that is the UGC CARE list, that is University Grant Commission Consortium of Academic and Research Ethics. So you can get this website from the University of Pune website. So when you go to the University of Pune UGC CARE list, you can see this website. You can search for the journals here. If you can check that that journal is particularly falls under UGC list or not, but UGC generally covered all the journals from Scopus and all the journals from SCI. But you can, if you don't find any journal in the Scopus, if you don't find any journal in the Web of Science, you can check in the UGC that they are being listed in the UGC or not. If they are being listed in the UGC, that means it is still a decent journals. And the next thing is the directory of open access journal. If you find the your journal publishes in an open access way, then you can find here, you can check the journal quality, their ranking, their reputation, and their decency. Here is the cables. So cable is a website where you can find the predatory report of a particular journal, like think, check, and submit. These two websites are mostly similar. They actually decide and they actually find the predatory report of a particular journal, their reputation, their impact, their quality, and all these things, and they check that it is safe to publish or not. This is a website called SciMago. So this SciMago website actually helps you to understand the entire timeline of the journal's quality and reputation. So it will show the SGR score of every year. It will show the site score of every year since it is being included in the Scopus, and it will show H index, country ranking, and everything. So you can look after any any journal's name in the SciMago country ranking website. And the last one is a journal guide. So journal guide, you can find the a particular kind of journal in the journal name tab. If you search for a journal name, if you search, you can see the reputation, the ranking, the impact factor, the citation metrics, and other kind of metrics about the particular journal. So these four kinds of journal and these four kinds of journal search websites are very important to look after if you are a new researcher. So in this lecture, we are mostly focused on the UGC CARE list and Scopus list. So first, let us understand what is UGC CARE list. So UGC CARE list is a list which is curated of high quality by the Indian journals recognized by the UGC. So every quarter of a year, like every 3 months, they actually refresh the list. They actually add or subtract different journals from the list based on their quality and based on their reputation. So it serves as a reference for Indian researchers, specifically Indian researchers and academicians and institutions to select a reputable journals. So journals on the UGC CARE list undergo a thorough evaluation and process based on set criteria, including peer review, quality, and academic relevance. So you can find the UGC CARE list in the given link, that ugccare.unipune.ac.in. So it is mostly hosted by the University of Pune, but it is being prepared by all the big university like Delhi University, Jawaharlal Nehru University, BHU, University of Hyderabad, and other big universities in India. So it is regularly updated to ensure the inclusion of decent journals. And lastly, comes the Scopus list. So Scopus list refers to the journals which are indexed in the Scopus databases, and Scopus uses a very tight, rigorous process to evaluate the journals, and it is tighter than the UGC CARE list. So whenever a journal is being listed in Scopus, that means it's a decent journal. So it checks the criteria for a rigorous peer review, relevancy of the paper to the particular journal. That means whether they check that that particular journal X, which is a history journal, should not publish any paper on science. They should only fix to the history paper. So this kind of journal quality and relevancy check. Then they check the editorial standards. And if a journal is being indexed in Scopus, it visibility and wider readership and citation metrics are increases too. So you can search for any journals in the Scopus from this website, that is the www.scopus.com/sources.uri. So if you open this website, you can search for any journal and their entire reputation and entire citation metrics and entire each index, SGR, SNIP, all kinds of score. So all these things are included in our lecture. So I hope that you have enjoyed the part 2 of our lecture on the selecting journal based on the UGC CARE and Scopus. If you have any question, you can email me anytime. If you want to learn more about this, please see the next part of the lecture. And in the next part of the lecture, we'll be covering more and more interesting way and the live demo of how you can choose a particular kind of journals. So thank you so much for listening, and see you all in the part 3 of the lecture.